Hey everyone, my name is Ryan or MandRproductions, and welcome to my review of the LEGO Star Wars Summer 2018 release Cloud Rider Swoop Bike set. Its official set number from LEGO is 75215. It includes 355 pieces, 3 minifigures being Tobias Beckett, Enfys Nest and Weasel, who we'll take a look at momentarily, and the retail price for this thing in the United States is $30, which I think is more than fair for what you get, so we'll definitely go more in depth on what I think about that later in the video. But for now, if you guys do enjoy the video, give it a like. If you're new to the channel, of course, subscribe. And if you have any opinions on this set, leave in the comment section down below. I'm curious what you guys think. Side note, this set does include 2 instruction manuals, so it's one of those sets where you can get you and a friend, you and your significant other, and you can kind of build this set together as you have 2 instruction manuals, which kind of allows for that, so you can grab different bags and kind of build along with each other. And it makes for a good building experience if you have more than one person and you're trying to just build one set. Anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at the 3 minifigures included up close. First up, we have Tobias Beckett, who we actually saw in the TIE Fighter, but he was wearing a disguise. So this is the first full-fledged Tobias Beckett minifigure we've had. The hairpiece on it is quite incredible. A lot of people seem to think it looks like a Donald Trump hairpiece. There's something along those lines, which I think is kind of funny. But the face is a solid face. It looks very, accurate to what you would see in the movie. However, you won't find anything on the back side of the head. There's no second facial expression, unfortunately. But I think the one on the front is solid. Just unfortunate that they didn't get a second one on there. He's wearing his large coat, or kind of whatever you want to call it there, but it runs down the full length of his body, and you can see underneath he's got a gray undershirt or something like that. He's wearing some gloves, and he, of course, has his dual-wield pistols, or Star Wars guns, whatever you want to call them. So, very neat in that kind of gray color. And that is the Tobias Beckett minifigure. Nothing super notable about him, other than I would say his hairpiece, which I pretty much am in love with. I think we also see that in The Incredibles, I want to say. I've totally seen that hairpiece before, though, I think. So, very nice little minifigure. Here we have the Enfys Nest minifigure. Very good-looking figure. Lots and lots of detail on this figure. First, we'll start out by talking about her weapon here. It's kind of got a little fish spear and then a sword on top with a lightsaber blade in the middle. Quite a design there, but we'll grab that and take that off. I think that works pretty well, though, as her weapon. She's got the little horns on the top of her helmet or head, and it does kind of work in very nicely there. They aren't you don't have to attach them yourself. They're kind of built into the helmet design. They come like this. They are rubber compared to the rest of it, which is kind of a harder plastic. And then there's, of course, a nice little print on there. Removing the helmet will reveal a black head. So we kind of saw this a lot with movies like The Force Awakens and stuff. And the reason being is that LEGO really didn't know what the face underneath would look like until it was too late and too far along in production of the minifigure for them to be able to go ahead and change that. So unfortunately, we get no face underneath. I think most notably Captain Phasma was like this as well. You can see on the back of the cape there's actually a bit of a print, and it's, I believe, hair back there. Underneath the cape is orange, which is a little bit odd, but it might be accurate. And then you can kind of see some of the different designs on her torso, one of which is like the necklace that she wears. And then if we flip the cape around, you'll find a small back print. So it's a pretty neat minifigure. I think they did a great job making it as accurate as they could to what we see in universe, and I like the figure. So great job by LEGO making it as accurate to the movie as they could at the time, and I really like that helmet. Great job. Lastly, we have Weasel, who's a pretty standard LEGO minifigure aside from the headpiece, obviously, and that's kind of what the main point of this figure is. It looks quite incredible. I really like the way LEGO did that. Another new mold just for this figure. Underneath, you'll find a black head once again. Kind of the same deal as with Enfys Nest there. And you'll find that the torso print is very good looking. Nice little details on there with that dark red color that LEGO has given it. Really like the way that looks. Around back you'll find a small bit of printing there. Actually quite a bit of detail with a little bit of like fur or hair there on the back. Not really sure what that is at the top, but something along those lines. So pretty solid minifigure with the shorter legs that we've seen before. So now we're going to take a look at the speeder bikes. This first speeder bike is for Enfys Nest, and you can throw her onto the speeder bike. I remember seeing the trailer and such, and I figured Enfys Nest was a boy, I guess, because of the mask. I don't know. It just looked like a boy character to me. I don't know. You guys probably agree. And then they did the big reveal, and it was a girl, and it was like, oh, well, that's a thing. But you sit her down on those two, or on the studs there. The handlebar actually does move forward, so you can get a little bit of extra space. It kind of is like a motorcycle in that regard. I really like the design of this. It's a very interesting and intricate design. that they use to get this to work. But the handlebars come forward. You can actually have her grab onto it if you really want her to. You just have to push the hands to the inside. I find that to be a little bit of too much extra work for me to care enough about a minifigure grabbing onto the handlebars. But maybe if you're building a mock and you really want it to go that extra mile, but not for really playing around with, I would say. You have stud shooters on either side of the speeder bike here, and you can shoot them off by pushing on the gray bits as per usual. And you can catch it if you want. It comes with like 12 extra red studs in this set, so you are going to have plenty of studs to go around, which is great. You have a singular fin in the back, which on this side is just kind of open studs, but on the other side you have a tile, which I think actually looks pretty nice with the sticker on it, with all that design to it. So it looks pretty solid on one side, not so much on the other side. So if you're displaying this thing, totally going to want to display it this way. That's going to be the best side. It's prettiest side. On the front end of the speeder bike, though, we also have the tri-fin design here, and it actually looks pretty solid when you look at it from straight on too. And they all have kind of the same sticker on there with that same kind of red band with the black markings inside of it that color match the back fin here with these front 3 fins. Looks very cool. I like the dark tan color with the red. That's kind of a color scheme I've never really seen before in Star Wars. It works very well. The engines on the back are pretty solid as well with the blue studs there. And overall, it's a nice singular speeder bike design. You can hold it by the fin if you want, so if you're going to fly it around, that's one way to do it, or you can just hold it by the bottom here. Kind of has somewhat of a landing gear, if you will, or just kind of some way to rest on the ground there with those 2 pieces. Again, very simple design, yet effective. I really like the way it looks, and it's very, very... Here's our next speeder bike. This one made for Weasel, so it's the shorter minifigure in the set, and this one's a little bit odd just for the fact that it doesn't really have a minifigure included to go in the sidecar, so you can kind of just throw one in from another one of the Han Solo movie sets if you so choose, but you can throw the Weasel minifigure in there. Obviously, he or she, I don't remember, doesn't really have a face, but yeah, he or she doesn't sit down because he has the short legs, but it does stand there, and it looks solid if you have it from straight on. Just looks a little bit odd from the side with the minifigure standing there. If you want to put a figure in the sidecar, we'll just throw Tobias Beckett in there for now, and he does fit in there, so you can have another figure in there if you so choose. And it actually looks pretty solid. The sidecar uses this Technic connection, which is actually pretty good. You can actually bend them together if you so choose, but obviously that's not an intended play feature. That's just kind of a side effect of the way they decided to connect them up. It has a very similar sticker design here on the front as to what we saw with Enfys Nest's speeder bike. Kind of get those same red markings there as you see on the fin and on the front of the Enfys Nest bike. So very similar in that manner, obviously from like the same clan, so it does make sense. You use some old flick fire missile pieces here to kind of represent weapons, which look kind of cool, especially this one here does. This one I don't think is a flick fire missile, this one here. So you get a little bit of that. Looks pretty nice. Same design here for the front area leading into the tri-fin in the front, so as the other speeder bike. On the back end you do have some very nice engines compared to the other one. I really like this design, kind of allows for that breathing motion. If you could move all 8 of them at once, it would look really, really cool. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about, but when the thrust starts to come out and like the engines open up, if that makes any sense. I like the way that looks so much. So nice job there by LEGO. Just a little bit of extra detail. You basically have like a little step here to get up, which is kind of cool. Then you have your flick fire or stud shooter. I keep messing those up every time. You have your stud shooter on that side and the other stud shooter on that side. Like I said, you get like 12 extra red studs in this set, so you are going to be loaded on studs. Little antennas there to control the bike for your figures, and a pretty solid overall design. I'm very pleased with this one. Again, no killer feature. You just have the stud shooters on the side, but it's more of just a swoosh around, play around type set. Not really like a, you know, this set does this, this, and this. It's much more of a, you can just kind of play with it and pew 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 type set. But there's one more thing included in the set, and that is this little box here. And inside of this box, we have the Coaxium. So we get this in a lot of the Han Solo sets, especially the summer sets. I think we might get it in all 3, or at least in the Conveyex transport. I know we get more Coaxium. So, and it's also in the Millennium Falcon. So Coaxium there, and that's obviously going to be what Tobias Beckett is carrying around. So you have that inside of the little box, and that's just another nice little addition to add to the playability. So you can have Tobias Beckett kind of running around with the Coaxium if you want, and then you can have them kind of roll up on Tobias Beckett and steal the Coaxium. So you can actually put the Coaxium on the sidecar of the bike with the sidecar, and you have these 2 little studs there. Very simple. You just take the box with the Coaxium and you place place it on there, and it fits on very nicely. It obviously hangs off a little bit, looks a little bit awkward, but for the size of the set, I think it works just fine. I kind of like the way they integrated it, so you can still have someone riding in the side here, like we had Tobias Beckett. And obviously that doesn't make sense in the context of the movie, but if you have another figure you can throw on there, and it makes sense to be part of the Enfys Nest gang, and you can have them on there. So very, very nice way to kind of implement that, just very subtly. Something I didn't even really notice until I was taking a look at it for the review, but it's very subtly shown there, and you just plop it on there, and it works. For $30, I think this is an excellent deal. I don't think you can go wrong at all with this set. I think it includes 2 great speeder bike designs. I think all 3 minifigures are excellent. You have obviously Tobias Beckett, who is one of the main kind of bad guys in Solo: A Star Wars Story. It kind of goes back and forth. You can't really tell sometimes. Then you have Enfys Nest and Weasel, which have some awesome new head or helmet molds, however you want to look at it there. So very, very awesome figure selection. And then I really, again, like the design of the speeder bikes. I think they're going to be really fun for kids to kind of play around with and swoosh around. And you can just pick them up and fly them around, and that's great. So a lot of fun to be had with these speeder bikes, in my opinion. Again, for $30, I think it's a fun little play set that you can get a lot out of. Obviously, if you combine it by getting some of the other Solo: A Star Wars movie sets, you're going to be having a lot more of a fun time with this set. If you obviously have the Conveyex transport or the Imperial AT hauler that have also come out on August 1st, I think you're really going to be having a fun time with all 3 of those sets combined. But if you just get this one, I think it stands alone just fine. You're going to be having just a fine time fighting for that Coaxium with Enfys Nest and Tobias Beckett, because Tobias Beckett really wants that Coaxium. Anyway, I give this set about an 8.5 out of 10. Really happy to have it in my collection, and I think it's a solid model of the speeder bikes that we see in the movie. I think LEGO did a great job. So if you enjoyed the review, hit the like button. If you have any questions for me or comments about this set, leave them in the comments section down below. And if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button to see some more of my future LEGO videos. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.